In Pokemon Emerald Rogue, you get to personally choose each path as you progress, but with randomized routes, Pokemon from Kanto to Galar, and leaders from the first 3 generations. It's one of my favorite ROM hacks, so today I want to try it as a hardcore Nuzlocke. Now I have to catch the first Pokemon I see on every route no matter what. Fainted Pokemon get put in the PC, and of course I gotta give everyone a nickname. Adds an extra connection. As for the battle rules, I have the encounters on set, and I can't use my items unless they're held. On top of that, in Emerald Rogue, you're limited to 6 Pokemon, with no PC. So if you want to switch it up, they're lost in the void. Forever. And by the way, this game has Mega Evolutions and Z moves, so this rule will be pretty important. No Dynamaxing though, but I'm sure no one was wondering. Alright, let's get into it. On the start of any Emerald Rogue run, you are graciously gifted a child from this green goon. They did a little dance, and my unplanned poke was a Dewpider, the Gen 7 water bug Pokemon. With a water bubble and a modest nature, we're probably not gonna keep this guy for too long. But now I get into my routes. And as you can see right off the bat, there's 3 key different types of paths. These easy grass routes, average rock routes, and mighty boulders. I take a look at my choices, like this average corrosive and energetic path. It tells you what each is supposed to be, like energetic corresponding to electric and corrosive to poison. Some lightning wouldn't be bad, so we went forward to our first route, and we were graciously gifted nature's bounty. Some berries. I got a Chesto, Charty, Lychee, but nothing really important. Found some balls along the way, like these antidotes, and this batch of 3 I'm gonna run over and get. But before then, we got our first encounter, and it was this little rat, the Gen 6 Pikachu clone. But for this adventure, our Dende. Each route has a set amount of Pokemon that you can catch. On these rocky average routes, it's limited to 4. Dende was one of the choices. As we're running around, we saw its flower, and after picking up these balls, we saw a Phantom. We stuck around to see what the 4th choice was, and it was a Chespin. He definitely would have been the best one. But we saved our sulking to the side and bummed around for these balls on the ground. But most of them were pretty useless, like toys and heals. Although I can't get on top, I can run under this bridge if I want. There's nothing at the end. Sirius gets to the end of the route. We already went on average, so now we have the choice between 2 toughs. A Gloomy for dark and Mighty for fighting. We decided we needed the extra punch. And after a little lootage, we spotted our Sonichu. A Riolu is a fine pickup. And with the possibility of Mega Evolutions, Lucario is on the top of my shopping list. But immediately we get stopped and face our first trainer. This little girl spotted us from off screen and confronted us with her Happiny. Luckily, everyone was pretty low level, and our Dewpider was a little bit faster, so Triple Bubble was all we needed for the fight. And in Emerald Rogue, everyone levels up all together and much quicker. So now we're loaded up on new moves. Pick up some feathers on the floor and walk our way through the desert. Bought this boulder guarding a ball. Luckily in this game, we have all the HMs already, and we don't need to teach it to the Pokemon to use it, so all these items are more than fair game. And we beam straight for these Lumberries. The perfect item, a held full heal. We walk straight down and fight this old man. We want to take his money, and we know he's loaded. But his far-fetched Fury attack nearly takes out my Dewpider, smacking it down 3 times and leaving me with 3 HP. Our second hit bubble took out about 3/4 of his health, but still had to switch in Dende. Needed to smite the bird out of the sky. And after, we switch our Spiderweb for Bug Bite. Finally, we find refuge with Nurse Joy. As you can see, there's a market guy too. He's got his own store, but the nurse has got everything, including a free heal, which I desperately needed. This isn't guaranteed at the end of every route, so we gotta take advantage of what we can. Like selling all my items so I can get this Electrium Z, immediately slapping it on my Dende, giving me the power of Z moves and just the edge I needed to get to the next gym. And the first thing we do is fight this lady, who brings us to the automatic level cap of 15. And we got to learn Force Palm. And there's this Nurse Joy, who gives us 1 free heal. After that, she makes us pay, and it's extremely overpriced, so I'm not really gonna bother with her. But down here, there's a statue, and it tells us who the next gym leader is gonna be. It's a ghost type. It makes our Sonichu pretty much useless. The Double D, Dende, and Dewpider is gonna have to carry us through. But with the Electrium Z, it shouldn't be a problem. A little worried, I walk up and confront and face Morty, the Ecruteak City ghost gym leader. I had to look up a pronunciation for that, by the way. But with a modern twist, like a starter Sandy Gas. I started off with a Dende, had to drop the dupe in. Although I didn't think he'd be that useful, this Dewpider was perfect. And either way, he started off with his Sand Tomb, so I couldn't switch out after. But I wasn't stuck in here with him. He was stuck in here with me. And my bubbles eroded him down to dust. After conquering the sandcastle, Morty drove into Duskull, and I moved the mouse back in. He tried to disable, but obviously failed. I didn't waste any time and went straight to the Z move. The Thunder Shock with Electrium Z. Gigavolt Havoc. The gods of Mount Olympus have graced me with this attack. Zeus himself gave me a bolt, and together smashed down the Duskull. He still lived, but 1 more Thunder Shock was all it took. Lastly, Morty threw out a Dreepy Dragon to round his team out. None of my moves were very effective on him, but his moves weren't strong against me either, and the first badge was ours. On the horizon, we see this strange statue. These statues hold an ultra strong Pokemon, everything ranging from mid-mythicals to godlike legendaries. But first we have to go through a route, and I chose this tough chili rock. I did a little running around, but no one wanted to show up, and around the corner this lady ambushed me. My Dende learned Parabolic Charge, and Dewpider learned Bubble Beam. We took her money and ran off. And in the wild spotted this Arctozool, the Gen 8 Electric Ice fossil Pokemon. Obviously caught it. As we're picking up some balls, we spotted a bunch of them bundled up on this island, but it got me wondering what's in the water. In Emerald Rogue, throughout the entire adventure, you're guaranteed the same 2 Pokemon whether you surf or rod. Water type would be nice, and immediately failed my catch. We went to surfing. We spot a Wimpod and a Totodile. We obviously know which one's better, and I say that knowledge for the future, but for now, we've got a legendary to catch. And every time there's always one of these guards blocking our path. Sometimes they're really strong. This lady only had this little bird. A little bit of overkill, but an easy takedown nonetheless. We walk up to the statue, give his nose a little tug, and out pops a Kyurem, a Generation 5 Dragon Ice type. type. It was a bit of a tough catch. We started off with a Nuzzle to get him paralyzed, and we thought that'd be enough, but he was proving to be a little stubborn, nearly taking out Dende. I had to cycle everyone out, giving me a little scared with an L, and even Red Bar and Dewpider. Sonichu's natural smelly musk was all we needed to scare it, and we named it after one of my stream subscribers. We're lucky enough to have another full rest up at our disposal. We took our free heal, but then we spotted a familiar face with a whole new proposition. He's asking me to do a random trade with one of my Pokemon for $1,000, or to switch my entire team for free. But my team is really nice. The only person I would dip is the Dewpider, and that is what I did. And with a hop and a skip, he ran away, leaving me with this Raticate. Not too bad. A water and bug type for a normal and a dark type. I'm not sure how worthy that trade was, but we've got to make him work now. We checked this green hair lady for other Mega Stones and Z Stones. She didn't have anything we wanted, but this Buginium Z would have been perfect. Luckily, she also has Darkinium Z, so we take that instead. Ideally, we want Mega Stones, but unluckily, we don't have anyone for it yet. We checked these other two guys and see if they have a Sunstone so I can evolve my Riolu. Usually, it's a friendly evolution, but it looks like no one has what I need. I leave him be and move on to the gym. We get ourselves to the max level and get our first look at our new Rat's moveset. Nothing really of note, but I switch Bite for Crunch. I also check out this Kyurem, switching out his Icy Wind for Ice Beam. We stick to our Rat strat, leaving Dende out first and confidently confronting Koga, the Gen 1 Elite 4 Ninja Master. And he started off with a Stunky. Leading with a charge, we immediately paralyzed. But I forgot that Dende was Fairy, and Poison is perfect against him. I was reminded by this Acid Spray, which took down about 1/8 of my health and destroyed my special defense. I don't take any chances and rotate into the Raticate. His Hyper Fang got him to 1 HP, and Stunky didn't stand a chance. After our Hyper Fang got him to half HP, I wanted to say the same for this Nidorino, but his double kick got us to Red Bar. I regretted not using the Z move. I had to switch back to Dende to save him. His Parabolic Charge put him down and gave me a little health. He threw out this Alolan Green Grimer. I nuzzled with the Paralyze and got out of there, putting in an L. He had the first move after the switch, but luckily we had the Paralyze just right and gave him the Gigavolt Havoc treatment. Left him with 1 HP, and the Thunder Shock was enough. Lastly, Koga had a Toxel, and we double powdered Snow our way to victory. We claimed our second badge without any losses. Looking really good and feeling pretty confident, I move forward to the tough confusing route that faces the rando man himself. The confusing route is obviously for Psychic, but like I said before, I want that Totodile. After picking up some balls, I throw my rod out, and unfortunately, scoop up a Wimpod. This is not who I wanted, but I cannot deny what was given to me. And Glosseopod shouldn't be too bad. I get my balls and berries and cry my sorrows away at the Game Show Casino, the natural habitat of this gambling hobbit. Here I have two choices, left or right. One is good and one is bad, which could mean anything from giving me a Master Ball or forcibly taking away my Pokemon. I start off with the left, and I feel a loss immediately. My lawn was burnt. I smartened up and went to the right, where I got $10,000. I decided not to break a good thing and do it again, and got another $10,000. I tried again, and NL got stronger. I guess it was all right that time. It was all right for me, because now there's another Nurse Joy. Getting really lucky with these free heals. These traveling merchants didn't have the evolution stone that I wanted. But the green gambler is here again, giving me the offer of a lifetime. I'm not particularly happy with Greg the Wimpod, but I know his evolution can pull through. I decided to turn him down, and we move on to face the gym. After I level cap, I teach my Dende Volt Switch, I Eradicate Sucker Punch and Super Fang, switch Sonichu's Faint for Reversal, and picked up Avalanche for NL. Greg grew up, and the first impression Glosseopod was just what I needed. Except now, I'm facing a flying type, the exact opposite of what I want. And we walk up to face Winnoa, the 6th leader of the Hoenn region. But here, she starts off with an Aerodactyl. We'll continue as per usual, with a Paralyze from Nuzzle. He couldn't move after. But then Volt switched out to get NL in. I thought that would take out the Aerodactyl, but left him with 1 HP. He only used Agility, but it got his speed up so he can first move Ancient Power. It was a little scary, but still left us in the green, and 1 Thunder Shock was all I needed. After, she threw out the big fan Rotom, who hit us immediately with an Ominous Wind, taking out 20 health and boosting all of his stats. But we sent another message from the clouds of cumulonimbus. It did nothing. It started a double team dance on us, but our Ancient Power smacked it down. But eventually we were starting to miss, and he got us to Red Bar. I thought my Dende can do it, but he was missing, so I had to whip out the big guns. Long. There was no missing his Ice Beam, even through Rotom's uproar. We were 1 HP, but it was still enough to smack this blue bird out of the sky. And finally, her last Pokemon was an Oricoro. As per usual, we chose Ice Dance, but he had the first move, and we couldn't keep our eyes off its Teeter Dance. Lom became confused and started smacking itself instead. Now 42 HP, we're kind of cutting it a little close. 3 big crunches were all we needed, and he put the win in Winnoa, easily creaming through with a full team to prove it. On the horizon, we spot another casino and this PC. But first, we got to go through another confusing route. But again, I refuse to even consider the grass, and instead try again for the fish. And again, we find another Wimpod. Because I don't want 2 of the same exact Pokemon, I decided to make an exception. After a little more surfing, we got the Totodile. I wanted to make it shiny though, to make the exception extra worth it and legit. We unfortunately couldn't find it, and got Greg out of our team. We went in the wild and immediately ran away from the shiny Graveler.
Wait, what?
Instinctually, I was just double pressing B, and I lost a chance of a lifetime. But luckily to the left was a golden Luxio.
Oh, but this is a shiny.
The back-to-back shinies obviously caught it with a matching luxury ball, of course. It was a tough choice to choose who to switch, but with two electric types, it had to be Dende or Nell. And the rat served us well, with the age of Bolt is upon us. He's a sassy little dog. My team's starting to shape up, and I'm starting to get a little scared once I go to these casinos. We walk up, go to the left, and immediately lose. Now all my Pokemon are paralyzed. I went to the right and lost again, $1,000 down the drain. We stuck with the right, so Nell got stronger, but lost $10,000 as a result of going right again. We're still good on money, but being paralyzed does not help. We didn't have the choice to go to Nurse Joy, and instead went to this Pokemon lab. Here, we had Birch waiting for us, and he said he had managed to catch some of the Pokemon that had fainted from before. We haven't had anyone fall yet, so a couple of his choices were random, like this Elekid and Aaron. But here, he also had Dende. We decided to keep him on the sidelines, and moved on to the gym, using our berries to heal everyone up. I switched Bolt Spark for Thunderfang, and Bite for Crunch. And as for Nell, I switched his Powder Snow for Freeze Dry. I beefed up Franklin too, giving him Ice Fang and Aqua Tail. But more importantly, we finally got to see the shiny Luxray looking too clean. We also got a Croconaw, but he was made pretty useless, because this next gym was electric. They don't exactly have counters for him. As we round the corner, we find that it's Lieutenant Surge, the veteran and leader of Vermilion Gym. And here, he has the Refrigerator Rotom to get us going. We wanted to first move Freeze Dry, but he started off with a substitute. We just kept whittling him down. His Ghost type moves didn't do too much damage, and his electric moves only helped us with our Volt Absorb, giving us HP every time he tries to attack. After he was out of his substitute, we execute him with an Ancient Power. After we had to mine him, we gave him a little tap, but he immediately baton passed out, cycling in another Rotom. But this one was grass, so our ice was actually perfect. Took him out in 2 hits, and Minun was back to using agility into baton pass. I think its only other moves are electric, and the AI doesn't want to heal me, so it's got no other choice but to send me this Raichu. He got us a half HP, but again, Freeze Dry was all we needed. Minun couldn't keep up, and Lieutenant Surge's last Pokemon was a Lantern. Again, Freeze Dry was all we needed. 1 hit getting him to half, but after he smacked it with a Signal Beam, leaving us confused. We hit ourselves, leaving us with 41 HP, and he hits us again, leaving us with 21 HP. We were Red Barred, and it was a little too close, so we had to get Eradicate to the rescue. The bug was super effective against him, but we had our Z move, Black Hole Eclipse, sucking him into another dimension, and then blowing the whole thing up. It was pretty brutal, but we needed this 4th bag. On these next routes, we find 2 more strong statues. I definitely want to go to at least one of them. But before this one was standing a strong trainer, basically the equivalent of another gym leader, and I didn't want to risk a fight, so we decided to just go for the rugged route, where we spawn in and immediately find an Icicle Plate. This is perfect for all the ice moves I'm about to use. And for this Cubchoo that I found. I catch it, but I don't want to replace anyone on my team. With 2 ice types already, it leaves me with 2 choices, Llaman and Nell, and I don't really want to take out either of them. So I leave this Cubchoo's ball on the cold floor, never to be seen again. But as we walk away,
It's still. Oh!
we find this blue snow run. The Shiny Claws found another exception, and I immediately threw a ball at it. But it keeps popping out. It did not want to stay in, so I got to try to whittle him down. And I try to use Avalanche, but Headbutt flinches me. After an Ice Fang, I successfully hit an Ice-type move against an Ice-type Pokemon with low base hit, so it should be perfect.
No! What?
I start to cry. I try to ignore it and focus on the positive, like Franklin evolving into Feraligatr. I forget it and just pick up some balls and get to the end of the route. But more importantly, face this legendary. This Team Aqua Grunt was guarding it. She had guys like Floatzel, which made quick work of, and this Malamar. Had to use Franklin to chop him down. But we walk up to this statue and find a Volcanion, the Generation 6 Fire Water Mythical. We tried to hit it with a Force Palm Paralyzed, but Riley had to get immediately rotated out. A net ball was all we needed, and although he was constantly to the rescue, we switched out the rat and became true gamers. This next route was a battle prep rest stop, where we had these traveling merchants and a group of move trainers. It's here where we heavily beefed up Steam and taught Bolt Volt Switch. At the gym, we found out the next leader was going to be Steel. It's a good thing we just got this fire type, and Steam's first battle was against Steven, who started off strong with a Steelix. But we just taught our guy Heat Wave, which was really all we needed, one-shotting these rocks and Stunfisk. This Clickland gave me a little bit of a scare, discharging and sending us to half HP, but he proved to be no problem. But this Copperajah actually put up a fight. I missed my first Heat Wave, and that gave him an opening to dig. When he was in the ground, I was debating if I should tank it or just switch out, but I knew as a fire type, I would never be able to tank that. We needed Franklin to tank it, and he did, leaving with only half HP. Switched back to Steam, but he went back into his hole. Used a Frank tank strat again, and luckily the 3rd time around, he used Play Rough, finally giving me the opening to take him down. And I almost gave Aggron the same opening, because after my attack, he survived with Sturdy, but like a buffoon, he used Double Edge, and he took himself out. Steven Stone, the Hoenn Pokemon champion, begrudgingly finally gave us our 5th Pokemon badge. And we moved on to our next route, which was another lab. Here, Raticate and Dende were resting. We left them be and moved on to another corrosive route, where we spotted this Skrelp. But again, I didn't want to switch out anyone of my Pokemon, so we just left them. As I move forward on the routes, I'm trying to avoid as many trainers as I can. Although their money's good, they're not worth it to fight at this point. We end the route and get to another prep stop. And after talking to these merchants, we finally find a Sunstone. Riolu's been needing this, and the Chaos Emerald evolved them to his mega form, where I learned Aura Sphere, and I switched out with Reversal and Close Combat for counter. But unfortunately, no Lucario in sight. I do sell some items and teach him Meteor Mash. We get to the next gym and find out it's an Ice Leader. We stepped up to Lorelli, the Ice-type Kanto Elite 4 leader. Now with a beefed-up fighting type and a strong fire, we really should have no problem. And Aura Sphere proved me right, one-shotting this big old crab and half HPing this Jinx. But she used Perish Song, so I had to switch to Steam. But when I switched to use Perish Song again, I still used Heat Wave to take him out, but went back to Sonichu for this Cryogonal. I thought him and the Vanilla would be no problem, but after getting him to 1 HP, he used Mirror Coat. Sonichu was one shot, our first huge loss. We got Franklin to take a bite out of the cone and beat up this Blubber with a Breakneck Blitz Normillennium Z move, smacking him all the way down to an 1/8 of health. One big bite was all we needed, and after only one huge loss, the 6th gym was ours. But now we have an open slot in our party. We've got to get a new Pokemon. But on these next routes, we see this strong trainer and this cursed sprite. We go to the strong trainer, and luckily if you beat these guys, they give you the choice of some of their Pokemon. It's kind of a gamble because they could just suck, but we go for it anyways. And it's Lucy, one of the Frontier Brain trainers in Hoenn, sporting mostly poison, so we volt switched out, sending in Nanelle, who had no problem with his Drapion, and Victory Bell. Once we got to Weezing, we were a little low. We had Steam's Earth Power deal with the rest. At the end, she gave us a Splash Plate and the choice between her Toxicroak or Victory Bell. I feel like you already know who I chose, and the Goat Bell was ours. Sporting moves like Leaf Storm, he's definitely going to be a strong asset. But now we're at this dark deal atop a misty mountain. We found this shadowy being. He told us one choice. Here we have the choice of 3 charms: an Endure Charm, a Grace Charm, or a Priority Charm. They don't tell us exactly what it is immediately, but I go with the Grace Charm. He opens his eyes and tells us the price this time will be a species curse. We check our key items to see exactly what that means. And the Grace Charm states friendly moves have an extra 75% chance for extra effects. So moves like Poison Sting, which doesn't have a guaranteed chance of poison, has an increased chance to make that status effect happen. But in return, we got a species curse, which states that Pokemon can't be caught if the species is already in my party. So for example, if I find a Bellsprout right now, I can't catch it, which is fine. I don't usually use 2 of the same thing. We take that trade as a W and get to the next gym, and a rock type leader awaits us, Brock, who started off with an Omastar. I was planning on washing away the whole team with water types, but the ground type Earth Power was unexpectedly perfect. Our Scald was good for the next 2, Rampardos and this Carbink, and we thought it'd be enough for this Tantrum too, but he only got to Red Bar and responded with a Head Smash. Although he fainted himself with Recoil, Steam is no more. Another huge loss. We had Franklin for the rest of them, like this Lycanroc and Stone Journey, but I guess Aquatail wasn't enough, because we got him to Orange and he got us to Orange right after. I trusted Franklin's speed, and we still got the first move, but it was a little scary. I didn't want Brock to take a second loss. But no matter, we've gotten our 7th badge, and move on to this average magical route, usually housing fairies, but when we get to the wild, we encounter a Relicanth. We pick him up and name him Filler, but immediately right after, there was a Bisharp. I would have much rather had this. I do my best to encounter all the trainers, and there are some close calls, but we got to the next route. And here, there's an unavoidable trainer that we were forced to fight. I was a little scared, but put Bolt to the front so I can Volt switch out if needed. These trainers are usually pretty strong in the late game. He has Scoliopedes, so we immediately Volt switched out. Didn't exactly have anyone perfect to fight him, but we had a Filler to sacrifice, so we decided to swap him in. He was still half HP from the capture fight, so we tried to rest and get him to full. The Scoliopedes rock climb wasn't too strong, but I became confused, and I hurt myself. It switched to Mega Horn, and I got to 15 HP, and I was still confused, but luckily rested and got healed back up. And with my Relicanth ability, recoil hits don't do any damage to me, so we double-edged that bug out of existence. Did the same strategy as Dragalage, just resting when I needed to, even overcoming a poison and getting really low against this Garbodor. But Phil came through, and this trainer who I worried about really wasn't a problem. We walked up to this ball and got a Sky Plate, and went in the grass to get our final 6th Pokemon. They were kind of avoiding me for a while, not sure why. I didn't have any repels on, they just didn't want to pop up in the grass. Had another unavoidable encounter, but this Team Aqua Grunt was nothing. Bolt and Victory Bell was just enough for a water type Scrubs. I tried the grass again and encountered a Staraptor. A definite catch, and with that Sky Plate plus his Intimidate, we're definitely switching out Filler. A quick quick ball was all we needed, and we are draining our way to victory. We find the random man again and do a little audit of our team. After looking through, I'm not sure if I really need this grass. We haven't fought a water type gym, but we are more than covered. Although he is a goat, the stream chat and I decided he was not needed. We paid the $1,000. In return, got a high dragon. That's really worth it. Although we had another dragon type, I wouldn't mind another. I maxed my team out, and the grass type leader is awaiting me. I luckily just picked up this bird, taught it fly, and gave it the plate. Erica had no idea what was coming for. My intimidate drastically cut their attack, but I was already too fast for them to hit me, because as soon as the battle starts, I'm soaring into the sky, one-shotting her Leafeon, Executor. Her Whimsicott got a hit in with Hurricane, but was swiftly dealt with as well. But that was really all she had, because the rest of them didn't stand a chance. The protector of the 8th gym badge couldn't even get past this humble bird. All 8 gym badges in our belt. Feeling pretty confident, we marched straight towards this next legendary. I should have switched out Staraptor from the front before going into the statue though, because guarding it was a Team Aqua member. Luckily my fly one-shot Golduck, and had a bug to follow up, but this Guzzlord was a little scary, tanking one of the hits, but still we dealt with him swiftly. Had to switch into Franklin for this Dracovic, but now nothing stands between us and this Pokemon. I switched Franklin to the front and challenged Necrozma in his Lion Sogalo form. Immediately scooped it with the quick ball and hesitantly released Enel into the wild. The Arc result served us well, but it's time for an upgrade, and then the Goatsma is a worthy substitute. We already have another electric type and an ice type, so it wasn't super necessary. We taught our new Goat Earthquake and moved forward to the first of the Elite Four. Here we don't get the privilege of knowing which typing is going to be. It's all up to luck, and we've got our Goat in the front just in case. All 8 gym badges and the first of the Elite Four. It's the Kanto region's Saffron City gym leader, Sabrina. Her psychic team has brought her far, and I start off with a Stealth Rock. Her Musher starts the Defense Curl a couple times. I switched into Bolt and hit him with another Black Hole Eclipse. It wasn't enough to take him out, and he actually slept me, but his attacks didn't do too much damage, and one crunch was all I needed. After came this Victini, but off rip it used Final Gambit, sacrificing its own life to get my Bolt to 4 HP. Not exactly a worthy trade on her part, but I'll take it. She had a Lunatone to follow up, but Franklin had Waterfall to take him down. And after we had Mr. Rhyme show up, but my Dark type crunch was perfect. He did do Future Sight though, and when Hypno came to help, we took the attack. It got us to a third of our HP, but it wasn't enough to scare me away. One-shotting him and the Siglif. Sabrina didn't stand a chance, and the first elite badge was ours. We get sent back to the routes, but we have a full team, so I don't really intend on picking up anyone. But still, we go to this grassy patch where there's a single Pokemon waiting for us. It could be anyone, and we at least check on who it is. And it's a Greninja. Clearly the better starter over Franklin, so I invest in a quick ball to capture him. But it wasn't enough. And we found out its ability was Protein, so we can change its types based on the attack that it uses. A definite catch for sure now. We used Franklin to whittle him down, and even though he was red bar, we had to cycle our Pokemon around to get a good catch on him. Got half of my team to half HP. I was gonna switch out Lom, but it got greedy and used one more Pokeball. But it missed and hit us with a gunk shot. Luckily it didn't feint us and only left us at red. But it poisoned right after, and Lom was unfortunately fainted. And after taking a sacrifice, he was subdued and accepted the ball. We took the Lom corpse out of our party and gained Itachi. Losing our legendary is pretty crushing, but we ignore it and move on. Teaching our Necrozma his signature move and finding the exact sea stone for it. But we waste no more time. The second Elite Four is upon us, and we walk up and it's Wallace, Hoenn region's water type Pokemon champion, a strong Elite Four contender. And with our team all beat up, I got kind of worried. He had a Kabutops start, so I didn't want to immediately switch into Bolt. But after we saw the trade from our fly, we knew we had no choice. The Golden Boy was needed, and Thunderfang smited him down. He also had a Volcanion, but my Thunderfang paralyzed him. He wasn't able to move and basically didn't do anything. And after, he switched into a filler. My Thunderfang got him pretty low, but his head smash got me to red bar. And I know it was a little risky, but I knew I was faster, so I Volt switched out, taking the Relicanth with me and switching into the High Dragon. Using Outrage a couple times was enough for his Gyarados. And I got his Seismitoad pretty low, but eventually I confused myself, and he poisoned me. My whole team was pretty low, and I didn't know who to switch to, so I decided to just Outrage again, and luckily was smart enough to break through the confusion, and Tapu Fini took his place, and her Muddy Water got me to red bar and lowered my accuracy. The poison got me to 6 health, and looking at my team, I knew I had to sacrifice someone. If I switch out now, she'll guaranteed have the first move, so I decided to have High Dragon tank the hit. He fainted, but I had my Itachi switch in for the Gunk one-shot. Wallace had me worried, and it was a worthy sacrifice for his win. The second Elite Four badge. We move on to get to the third, and we decide to head back to the lab. Now that we've had some more feints, he might have some better people. And on the side, he's got Steam, Lom, and his random Aaron. But picking up the Volcano would leave me with 3 water types. The Dragon Ice would just objectively be better, so we picked it up to fill in our last slot. But as we were doing that, the professor said that sometimes the Pokemon are holding an item as they're getting caught, and this time Lom was holding a curse, the Catching Curse. We're not exactly going on routes anymore, so this won't hurt us too much. But now our ball effectiveness is decreased by 25%. Kinda crippling, but we've got a full team, so who cares? We get to a battle prep rest stop, and I get some mints to change some natures. I don't usually do this, but stream chat was really suggesting this. But more importantly, we found the randomizer again. He's been giving us some good trades, and like I said, we have too many water types. We have Itachi, so I don't know if Franklin's really necessary. We decided to pay up the $1,000. He does little dances, skips away, but in return, we got a Delibird. Out of all the Pokemon from Gen 1 to Gen 8, probably among one of the worst people to pick up. Not much to teach it, but we do give it Destiny Bond. Could be a funny sacrifice. And we leave him first for a third Elite Four. Lance, the Dragon Master Menace. His first was a Noivern, and I start off with some spikes. I was thinking of immediately Destiny Bonding, but he hit me with a Hurricane, and I second moved Rain Dance. So now his Hurricanes will be 100% guaranteed to hit. A big blunder on my part. I switch out to Itachi and risk a hit, and he does get slashed down to half HP, but the Ice Beam was perfect to one shot. And it was the same for his next couple Pokemon, Duraludon and Salamence. But his guarantee has scared me a little bit because he tanked that first hit. Going into Shadow Sneeko mode, I didn't think Itachi was strong enough to tank it, so I switched to Blade. His normal type status made the move ineffective. He tried to Aura Sphere, but we flew up and smacked him down. Same thing with his Dracovic. And again for this Goodra, he simply did not stand a chance. The third Elite Four badge. I prepared my team at this next full rest stop, but I don't waste my time and get to the fourth, where we walk up, find and face Whitney, the Gen 2 normal type giant, usually sporting a Miltank, but she started off with his Gumshoes, who one-shot my Delibird. Couldn't even get the Destiny Bond off. We don't exactly have anyone fit to fight normal, so we send in the Goatsma and test out this Sunsteel Strike. Her next Pokemon was this Heliolisk, and we had just the Earthquake for it. After throwing in our Stealth Rocks, we one-shot him and an Ursaring. Statland was a little tanky, but still not strong at all. Dunsparks got one shot, and we saved her last Wigglytuff for our Z move. The Searing Sunray Smash, making me feel like All Might, sending her to an alternate dimension, all just to break her down atom by atom. Without her Miltank, Whitney didn't stand a chance. Her normal types were nothing, and all 4 elite badges were ours, and only at the cost of 1 Delibird. And to fill in our final slot, down in the horizon, another last legendary. But first, another dark deal. I'm not sure how many more of these I can take, but the charms could be worth it. Either this wild charm, a discount charm, or a flinch charm. I feel like flinch would be the only thing that's useful for me at this point, so I clearly go with that. And in return, the price is the crit curse. So my flinch charm gives me an extra 10% chance to flinch on every attack, but in return, the crit curse gives me an increased crit rate. That is not a worthy trade in my book. Let me move on and go to this single Pokemon patch where we find a Leafeon. We try to catch her at first, but end up deciding to level cap instead. Because either way, we're facing another legendary. And it was only this Team Magma grunt. Itachi was just enough. One-shotting everyone, like his Absol, Cacturn, and Zoroark. No one hit me at all, and we went up to this Reggie Ice, one of the 3 ancient ones. We tried our best to whittle him down with Itachi, but he was kind of strong. After a little back and forth, a Dusk Ball was all we needed, and Aokiji was ours. Another ice on our team, but I can't complain. At this point, it's not like we have any other options. We go on. All 8 gym badges, all 4 elite badges. Now to face the champion. We walk up, and it's Flannery, the fire type leader. With 2 ice, a steel, and blade really low, she's actually one of the worst people we can fight right now. But I trust in the speed of our goat. Our only ground move is on him. And luckily, it's Earthquake. We one-shot this Mad Cargo and her follow-up Camerupt. Even Incineroar and Heatran didn't get a chance to lay a hit on us, but the train was halted by this Ho-Oh. Nothing more we could have done but switch into Bolt, and we responded with a Gigavolt Havoc. Had to call on Zeus yet again and one-shot this god bird from existence. The champion's last Pokemon was this Cinderace. We Volt switched out, leaving with half HP, and put Itachi in, drowning her under a Hydro Pump, and she was forced to give us the champion's badge. All 8 badges. All 4 elite badges, and now the champion badge. With all these winnings, there's only one more trainer to fight, the ultimate world champion. There's another route blocking a legendary, and decided to at least check it out. On this route, the first Pokemon that we saw was a Pumpkaboo. I honestly didn't want it, and in keeping with Nuzlocke rules, we just caught it and let it go. But like I said, these trainers are everywhere, like this Team Aqua guy who just snuck up on us. Luckily, he didn't get the chance to touch most of my team, but he got my Bolt pretty low, actually. I tried to avoid this one lady guarding the exit by going around these 3 guys, but I ended up having to face all 3 of them, and at the end got really low. We all survived. I only had one more trainer to fight until the end. My Blade was doing fine, one-shotting her Executor and getting her Oricorio to a third of health, but she hit me with a Revelation Dance, super effective, and knocked out my Blade. I was pretty distraught. Itachi took out the rest of her birds, but now we're left with another open slot, but luckily we've got a legendary to fill it. My whole team is looking really low though. It's a big risk to fight this guy. This regular Team Aqua grunt might take out a champion. He had an Arctovich, which was one shot by my Sun
Sunsteel Strike. And after he had a Caracosta, my Earthquake got him to 1 HP, but he sturdied it out. I was a little scared, but his attack in response was a Rain Dance. Pretty lucky. But we figured it was setting up for the Sea King. It used Waterfall, and it halved my already low health. We had to use the Z move, but now my team is lower than it's ever been before. I don't have any healing items, but I'm no coward, and we decided to challenge it anyway. And it's the Gen 8 Eternatus, the big multi-dimensional dragon. We shoot out an Ice Beam and get Itachi to lower him down. And as he's about to respond with an attack, he flinches. The flinch charm at work. We caught him with the heal ball and named him Clutch. Insane catch with a Eterna Beam and everything. We give him some better moves, but stop at nothing to fight the real champion. We move up to the Mystic Mountain. At the ledge, we see him waiting, copying our clothes. Red. Blue's always been better, and he seems to think so by starting off with his grapple lock. Unfortunately, we can't Dynamax him, but we start off with the Clutch anyways, because he's got toxic spikes. And foolishly, we switch to Itachi. I forgot that he was dark, and he got one shot. Rip the ninja. He served us well, but there's a reason why Red's the champion. We instead go to Bolt and try to redeem him with the Gigavolt Havoc. It was enough to one-shot him, but at what cost was this loss? The next Pokemon Red had was a Digger's Bee. The Poison Spikes did its job, and we tried to Volt switch out. But again, we were stupid because it doesn't even affect him, and he Earthquakes us to half HP. We got Aokiji to use Superpower on him, and it got him to 1 HP, with a Poison to the rest. But next, he had a Chandelure. Luckily, it was poisoned, but definitely not ideal against ice. We went back to the Clutch, where it confused us, but we hit him back with the Eterna Beam. The confusion wasn't enough, and we took him out of existence. Next was his classic Lapras. We let him take a little damage from the poison as we switched to Bolt, and Thunderfang was just enough to singe him out too. Before its 5th Pokemon, Red cycled out as Zacian, and he's got Intrepid Sword, so he immediately raised the attack. I wasn't really sure what to do, so we just went back to Clutch, and he got Red Barred, so I got a little scared. But unfortunately, he was my only option with Fire type. I could switch and risk everyone else, or stand my ground and fight. I decided to use the Mystical Fire, and it wasn't nearly enough. But luckily, he had a recharge, but I still had a chance to switch. Although he was crunched down to 1/3 of his health, Earthquake was all we needed. And for his 6th and last Pokemon, he had a What even is? And for his 6th and last Pokemon, he had Naganadel, the Poison Dragon Ultra Beast from Gen 7. Kind of a problem if he gets any feints. And with no more Poison Spikes, we're not getting any passive damage in. He's been serving us well, so we just keep the Nagotama in, trying to land a Prismatic Laser. But he's faster and smacks us with an Air Slash, getting us to 91 HP. We flinch, but I try again. But he's still faster, slashing us again, and I flinch again at 62 HP. I want to get Nagotama to the end, so I put in Lom instead. The Air Slash whittles him down a little bit. I call out the Ice Beam command, but he's faster with the Dragon Pulse and crit striking us, leaving us with just 15 health. But our Ice Beam was stronger, one-shotting him and defeating Red. And finally, we've become champion, beating the Pokemon Emerald Rogue Hardcore Nuzlocke Challenge with our winning team, the Clutch Eternatus, the Shiny Bolt Luxray, the Nagotama Necrozma, Lom Curum, Aokiji Regice, and the Fallen Itachi Greninja, all key elements for this Hardcore Nuzlocke. An insanely lucky team. Ultimately had quite a bit of deaths at the end, but can comfortably say champion of Emerald Rogue, no doubt. And that's it, the Hardcore Emerald Rogue Nuzlocke.